What up, what up, what up? It's your boy LQ. Welcome to another great episode of the Sick Podcast Rams Recap. We got a lot to go over today and start looking ahead for the offseason. There's some burning questions that I don't know if Ram fans are actually ready to hear and answer at the moment, but it's good just to get a look at what we possibly could be looking at this offseason with draft coming up, with many free agent names floating around in the sea. Will we be one of them to be out there to grab one of these free agents and start building for the next season? So, Sammy, hit the intro.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Rams Recap with LaQuan Jones.
They rush forward. Throw to throw for it. He's hit. He's hit. He's sacked. He throws it away. He flings it away on fourth down. Aaron Donald got there, and you can build that man's statue out SoFi Stadium right now. The greatest of all time on defense does it in the biggest moment of Super Bowl 56.
The sickest Los Angeles Rams podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Yes, we are here. The show is called Rams Recap, so I'm going to recap the Eagles game. But first off, I want to say thank you to the Los Angeles Rams for an amazing season, man. To be 1-4 and to make it out of that hole, to even make it into the playoffs, to get a playoff win with us having to play our playoff first round in a neutral site, not home at the crib due to the LA fires, and for us to go out there to handle business the way we did. We did not get the victory against the Eagles, but we fought hard, and I want to thank them for an amazing season. I believe we're the best organization on earth. We were the greatest show on turf. Now we are the greatest organization on earth. And I definitely feel as though, with all the adversity that we went through the injuries with the O-line, our wide receivers, Matthew Stafford not being protected in crucial moments, we will get all into that. But we must recap the Eagles game. And I got to say, we fought hard in the snow. We're out of our element. We're a West Coast team. It's all sunshine. Like, yeah, I'm in a hoodie here, but it's hoodie season in the winter, which is basically all year round for me. But anyway, being from a guy from New Jersey, to see his team go out there in Philly, knowing how hard it is to be in the trenches with those Philadelphia Eagles fans, and obviously Jared Verse, unfazed, he handled business, but we'll get to him in a little bit as well. But more so, this game, man, let's get into what killed us. Like, we went in with the game plan, and I think that we made a huge improvement on trying to capitalize on Saquon Barkley, putting him in a bottle and trying to cap him. But obviously, it was very difficult to do that at times with him putting up 205 rushing yards on us, which is the fifth most in a playoff game all time among running backs. It's insane. But more so, I'm proud of what we went out there and did. Overall as a defense, there was just still some holes in that defense of trying to stop the run. And this has been an ongoing problem. Like, there's some holes that we have on our team, and, stopping the run has been one of them for the last couple of seasons. Like, I want to think back in the day. Like, do we remember TJ McDonald? Because I have the Saquon 62-yard run for the touchdown in my head right now, just being played over and over. And I remember when we used to be run stuffers, we used to be so violent in the trenches on all three levels of the defense, at the trenches, at the linebacker, and then at the safeties, and our corners were hard hitters. Like, I think back to when we had TJ McDonald, the thumper. Like, he used to come down and really make the running back pay for trying to go through that A gap, B gap, whatever the case may be. He wanted you to feel his presence, playing with violent intentions coming down. But when you see that replay of Saquon on that 62-yard run, it's like, God, man, where is the presence? Where is the fear? Why is Saquon so confident to put his head through that hole and burst through? No, we don't have that element in our defense yet. And I shout out to the defense. Huge shout out to these guys. These are young studs. I am very, very optimistic for the future, because when I say young studs, like, we've gotten our main pieces on defense in the last three drafts since 2022. When we look at the defensive line, all these guys are within the last 2 years. Byron Young, Kobe Turner, making complete hell in the trenches last season. And then you look at this season, adding Braden Fish, adding Jared Verse. this line is intact for some years to come. So the league still got to deal with us. They got to deal with V8. They got to deal with Jared Verse coming at you off the edge with Byron Young causing hell on the other side. You got to worry about Fisk and Kobe Turner in the middle, in the trenches, holding it down, locking it down with their unlimited motors, getting after the quarterback. This is going to be something that Rams fans, we sit with the L today, this week, next week. We grieve for the next offseason, whatever the case may be, but there is hope for the future. I'm very optimistic about this team as a whole. So huge shout out to Jared Verse talking his smack before the game, going out there, handling business. I mean, look, he had 5 pressures, 4 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 2 QB hits. That is superstar studded talent here, people. We just lost probably the best player in the world in Aaron Donald last season. And for us to replace him with the collective group of the youth of this trenches and Jared Verse making a statement out there that his presence will be felt, this brings us together for the next couple of years to have no worries about young guys like this that exist on our roster. And we're going to keep adding to the roster. We're going to keep killing it in the draft. And this is why I say we're the best organization on the planet. Because we have Les Snead, we have Sean McVay, we have all the correct pieces to keep this team intact and keep moving forward to get to the big dance, to get back to the playoffs. That's why I'm not like so heartbroken where I'm laying on my couch down in a bottle of tequila because I'm so sad about how far we come in this season just to get cut short to a team that I know we are better than. I know we can beat them. Like I said it before this game even happened, that this game is going to be won in the trenches. And that's exactly what happened. It came down to the trenches. It came down to not the quarterback being the best on the field, because if you look at Jalen Hurts numbers and then you look at Matthew Stafford numbers, who threw for 300 yards in the snow, you're going to be like, what kind of game was this? It was won in the trenches. And I want to get to another thing that killed us, man, the pass protection. I mean, Bo Limmer, man, I mean, he was having a long night dealing with Jalen Carter, and 2 crucial moments of where it goes back to how this game was won in the trenches. You look at Jalen Carter on that 3rd down, just completely hassling Bo Limmer, just getting right by him on block and sacking Stafford. And then you look at that last play on 4th down with Matthew Stafford looking for Puka Nacua, and it just sails over his head, and then it's game over. You look at that play, I mean, Jalen Carter just causing straight destructive, getting to Matthew Stafford on that last play. Like, these are the things that we need to take in, realize that we need to make some moves, some adjustments, some improvement, development, whatever the case may be within the trenches on the offensive side. We need to protect Matthew Stafford. And I want to get on Matthew Stafford real quick. He is one of the elite quarterbacks. Like, when we talk about the greats, when we talk about Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, you better have Matthew Stafford in that conversation as well, because he's still playing high-level football. I don't know why the media or anybody's trying to write him off like his days are over at playing quarterback. No, nowhere near. Nowhere near. You're still having Matthew Stafford having that dog in him. They made that saying because of Matthew Stafford, by the way. He fits the exact criteria. When you look up, he got that dog in him, there's going to be a picture of Matthew Stafford right there. I'm tired of people trying to write him off saying that, you know, he's 36 years old. He'll be 37 years old. That ain't 40. That ain't 45. Listen, he, at the end of that interview yesterday, they basically asked him, does he still have football left in him? Hell yeah, he does. And he does. And that's why he answered the way he answered. It sure looks like he does. Like, it's because, you know what? It all comes to contract numbers and all this other stuff. He basically signed a 1-year contract this year when they reconstructed. It was basically a 1-year, $40 million year contract this year with a bunch of guarantees. And next season, the Rams have an out. Well, guess what? He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. He is still hungry for another ring. He's going to come back, put the work in this offseason, and rebuild and get back to where we know where you deserve to be, and that is in the big dance and then the Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford's not going anywhere. He's still doing no-look passes. He still has the deep arm. He still has the ability to have that football IQ to get out of the pocket and make runs like he did in the game against the Eagles. And you have to look at Matthew Stafford when he goes down to these slopes. The back half of this season, you know, he had some lows. And you understand some of these lows. There was the miscommunication, not really on the same page with Cooper Kupp. the mystery there, not having Tyler Higbee for most of the season. But you see, when we get our starting pieces back together, things start to click. Tyler Higbee was having an amazing season since he's returned. Shout out to Tyler Higbee for being the man that we all know he could be, returning from that difficult injury. But overall, Matthew Stafford is not done. I'm happy with us giving him another 2 years. Let Matthew play until he's 42 years old, and he does not want to play. He's going to be 37 next month. I don't want to hear that Matthew Stafford does not have any football left. I will take Matthew Stafford over any of these other quarterbacks that are up and coming or have question marks on. I would take a Matthew Stafford over a Justin Herbert. I would take a Matthew Stafford over Joe Burrow. I'll take a Matthew Stafford over CJ Stroud. Whoever else you want to put on that list, Matthew Stafford needs to be talked about in the leaks. He's not going anywhere else. It's LA until he gets another ring and he's ready to fly off into sunset. I guarantee you right now, if you ask Matthew Stafford off record, he's telling you, yeah, he got a lot of football left. He can't make that decision. Like, what did we really expect for him to say 30 minutes after a playoff loss? After all this work has got, you're not going to really get a good answer out of him. So that's just my whole ordeal on the Matthew Stafford stuff that's been buzzing around on the internet right now. Like, he's not going anywhere. Okay. So let's stop thinking that, eventually that, Stafford will call it quits, or McVay and Les Snead are like, yeah, I think we can move on, because guess what? We can't. We don't have a backup yet. Jimmy G ain't the question. Can you imagine being 1-4? Like, thank God Matthew Stafford stayed healthy, because I need to say this again. Thank God he stayed healthy, because imagine at 1-4 and the rest of our season, our playoff hopes, our upside are dependent on Jimmy G. Come on. Like, I can still talk bad about Jimmy G because he's a 49er. He's not one of us, okay? So I'm not happy with Jimmy Garoppolo trying to lead us to the promised land when we were at 1-4. No. That's why we need Matthew Stafford. Any other quarterback that had to deal with the adversity that Matthew Stafford had to deal with this season probably would have crumbled. This team would not even be nowhere near a playoff team. We would have probably finished last out of the division. So for us to be 1-4, win a division, go to the playoffs, get a win, and face one of the best teams in the NFL that are possibly going to the Super Bowl, and we put them nails to the wall, to the brink, to basically having them sweating into the fourth quarter with final seconds left, you're crazy. You're crazy. We don't have that backup yet, so there's no out. There is no, Matthew Stafford's gone. So that's the end of my Matthew Stafford rant. I want to get to one of the burning questions that we need to start looking forward to, because the question that I have is, what's wrong with Cooper Kupp? Like, I don't know. I mean, honestly, he did way better this game, but they waited until the second half to really get him involved. He only had one target, one catch in the first half, and now it came in the second quarter. Like, what is the disconnect? Why are we waiting so long to get him activated? Why are we not trying to make him the primary target anymore, unless he's not earning these targets anymore? And this is where it leads into my question. Is it time to move on from Cooper Kupp? Now, a lot of Rams fans like myself adore Cooper Kupp. I don't want him to go anywhere. I want him to retire as a Ram. But we're talking about a very small window that we have right now to getting another ring. We need a wide receiver too that could step up. We need a guy that could basically step in the role if Cooper Kupp was to go down, Puka would go down, et cetera, et cetera. We're still trying to figure that out. Is it Jordan Whittington? Does Demarcus Robinson, sign another extension? Do we need him as our solid wide receiver 3 while having Tutu? There's a lot of questions there at the wide receiver room, and there's guys like T. Higgins out there. I mean, look, I would not be mad to see T. Higgins in a Rams jersey this upcoming season, or any of the other upcoming talents that, are the draft prospects that are coming up in the draft this year. But honestly, do we take the picks for Cooper Kupp? Do we let Cooper Kupp walk? Do we find another way to get Cooper Kupp back on page with this offense? Because this has not been the Cooper Kupp I've known and loved. The Cooper Kupp with only 4 targets in the game, 2 catches, 0 yards in the game, 0 targets. Like, this really just got off the rails after that 49ers game. Like, I just don't know what happened. So we need to figure out what are the next steps for Cooper Kupp, and like, I wouldn't mind keeping him, but I honestly want this team to win. Like, we've made hard decisions in the past where, we thought we'd never see the day that Jared Goff would be traded. And what do you know? He's been traded for the better, I guess, or whatever. But I would say Matthew Stafford won the trade, but that's just me being petty and, kind of poking at Lions fans again. You guys kind of earned that humble pie. I hope you guys enjoy Cancun. And I told you will be getting knocked off by the Commanders, and you will be vacationing in Cancun in 2 weeks. But again, let's get back to the subject at hand. That's the burning question about Cooper Kupp. And my last question, I kind of caused a ruffle on Facebook. It might have been an emotional reaction to just the loss, but I my status, I put, I'm okay if we trade Kyren Williams. Now, I don't want to go into a huge rant or bit and go back and forth with people about it, but man, look, McVay, since the McVay era, 2017, we've drafted a running back in every single year. We've been trying to chase that Todd Gurley replacement because things have not been the same since Todd Gurley. Like, I thought I would see Todd Gurley retire as a Ram, but we made the difficult decision and shipped him off and got away from it. And we've been looking for his replacement ever since. But I bring this issue up. Now, again, Kyren Williams, probably one of the best pass blocker running backs in the league. Kyren Williams' ability and to see the vision, to see the holes, to get out on the edges as well, is probably top tier. But honestly, looking at his overall productivity, I do kind of pin it to Sean McVay's offensive system. I do pin it to our offense being able to create a lot of scoring opportunities, hence why he's found the end zone 14 times in a regular season. So I look at those things like we can do this with another running back. It's not really exclusive. I just feel as though I have that factor. Does he have that killer instinct? Does he have that trust in him to put the game on his back and not turn the ball over? I mean, he's been these last 2 seasons, he leads all running backs in fumbles. That is a huge issue. I don't know if we can fix that within one season because it was an issue last season as well. But how I look at it as, I'm like, man, do we draft another running back this year? Do we try to hit free agency? Do we try to trade him in his contract's coming up? I don't know, but he's been the closest on the ground in productivity when it comes to Todd Gurley when we look at those stats. But man, those fumbles, and I'm not just talking about the Eagles game. People were coming at me saying, yeah, you're talking about one game. No, this has been an issue before. I want to know that we could put the team on our running backs back. Don't we remember having that peace of mind where it's okay, Todd Gurley, he's healthy, he's good to go. Put the ball in his hands. Either you're handing it off to him or you're throwing him the ball. I don't feel like that with Kyren. I feel like I'm holding my breath every time it's a big moment and we hand the ball off to him. And again, I understand it with snow. Yes, snow, the conditions, but these fumbles have happened in the regular season in big moments. It's I don't want us giving the other team opportunity to beat us because look at the games that we could have won by one possession, or it came down to the final minutes of the game. We cannot keep losing these games, giving the other team opportunities on top of Matthew Stafford fumble in the snow. So yeah, let's not try to use the same snarky logic and say, well, Matthew Stafford threw an interception, Matthew Stafford fumble, we should trade him. No, this is different when we're looking at the running back position. His position, it's a kind of a cycle, and that's why we keep drafting a running back every single year. So this is nothing personal at Kyren Williams. This isn't nothing that I have some type of hatred for him. I appreciate him of everything he's done for us because he's doing his part for us to be a high-power offense as well. But what I'm saying is the big negative in his game right now is the fumbles, the turnovers. We cannot have that given the team opportunity. It kills momentum. Even the fumbles he didn't lose. Even the fumbles that we ended up recovering, it kills momentum. It kills everything that's going on. The vibe, the frequency, whatever you want to say, it just does a lot to the offense where we start to stall out. Penalties start coming. 3 and outs start happening. It's we can't be effective in the red zone. Why? Because fumbles and turnovers and mistakes and penalties. That's everything that we're known to be shooting ourselves in the foot with. But I feel like that's something that might be something that we have to address in the offseason as well. Unless it's more so let's get Blake Corum more active early in the season so we can run a 1-2 punch. So if we do have to put the ball in our running back hands, we have some options there. We don't have to keep putting it in Kyren's hand. Going back to him after him fumbling, it was kind of just he fumbled earlier, don't, and we did. But of course, it is what it is. But I'm not mad at Kyren. I'm not mad at the Rams. This was just a great season to be a Rams fan, and it's great to be a Rams fan now to look forward to the future and what we have on the table. Such young talent, man. I can't get over how blessed we are to have a defense that we have for the next couple years that are going to be in that window to get back to the big dance. They're going to be a crucial part of why we get back to the playoff next season. They're going to be a crucial part why we get to wear another ring in the next couple of seasons. Matter of fact, I'm going to say next season. Let's put it in the universe now. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. And, I definitely appreciate the season that we had. And Rams fans, let's all come together this all season, have civilized debates on what we should do, what we should not do. And please make sure you guys like and subscribe, leave your comments below in the comments. I'll try to get to them and interact, and let's chop it up, man. Let's talk some Rams in the offseason. This pod will be transitioning to more so looking at, offseason stuff for the Rams, the draft coming up, free agency, maybe even some fantasy talk about Rams players, dynasty if you're out there, best ball, whatever the case may be. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys sometime this week, next week, whatever the case may be. It's your boy LQ, Mr. Real Deal Fantasy HQ. This is the Rams Recap Sick Podcast. Make sure you guys tune in. Peace.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Rams Recap with LaQuan Jones on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.